Okay, well, welcome everyone. Since the topic for class this week is on vulnerable populations and access to care, most of our discussions and our lectures have been on the adult population, and we really haven't focused a lot on children and their unique healthcare needs. So I'm very delighted that we have Marie and Rachel here from ChildServe here in Coralville. Marie is the executive director and Rachel is the rehab manager. Hi, good morning. So if we don't have the opportunity to have them come into class, then I would like to bring them to you so you can benefit from the information that they're sharing. So welcome both of you this morning. So first of all, tell us a little bit more about ChildServe.
Okay.
Marie, if you want to start.
Sure. Thanks for having us, because I feel like ChildServe is one of the best kept secrets. Families don't really know about us until they need us. So it's great to be able to get the word out. So we are a outpatient facility for children with special health care needs here in Coralville. We do have a large facility in Johnston, Iowa, where we also have inpatient units. So we have kiddos that stay with us long-term, sometimes their whole life, because of their special needs, and we have others that will come for a short period of time to do some types of rehab, and then they'll get discharged and start their journey when they get home of healing and getting back to what they do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the services that we have at the Coralville facility, and one of the things that we kind of pride ourselves on is with families that have to go through identifying different services when they have a child with special health care needs. We want to have as much as we can under one roof. So our core services are going to be outpatient, which is physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. We added behavioral health therapy for both kiddos and for families and for parents. So, for example, during this time of COVID, we know that parents were struggling just as much as kids were. So we have extended that service out to the parents as well. We also have Autism Day Health, and that is a program where autistic children, 2 to 6, right, Rach? Yeah. So 2 to 6, they have to have a diagnosis of autism. They can come to our facility, and they're in a specialized program. It's called the STAR program, and they have specific goals that they work on to, maybe it's holding eye contact, conversation. It might be all depending on what their needs are with their diagnosis. So they're either here half day or full day, and we are the only facility in Iowa that offers this program. It's offered here at our location in Ames and our location in Johnston and in Des Moines as well. So we are kind of experts on autism, and we pride ourselves on that. We also have a developmental clinic. So kiddos that might be seen by their primary care doctor, their pediatrician, they're just not quite developing where they should be at that point. They can get referred to us, we'll do an assessment, and then get a treatment plan ready for them, whether they need our services or someone else's. And we can help coordinate that care as well. We also have pediatric rehabilitative medicine, and that is, we call it our PMR clinic. And we have the state's only pediatric physiatrist. So he's a pediatrician and then also has the rehab background. And that's really, actually, I'm going to have Rachel explain this one. Mine's a little broad.
So his name is Dr. Fred Klingbill. So as Marie said, he's the only board certified pediatric PMR doctor. So he specializes in physical medicine and rehab. That means he understands therapy, he understands orthotics, DME equipment, and all the specializations. And so his role, along with our nurse practitioner that works with him, is really to help families that have kids with special healthcare needs kind of coordinate, put all that information together from the specialist, prioritize, kind of create a plan. So he spends a really long, great deal of time at each visit to really kind of, holistically look at everything that's involved and how do we prioritize what's next. And do we need, new braces or a new walker, or we need to increase therapy or try this new program or things like that. And so that has been tremendously valuable for our families, just to kind of have that help in pulling all the information together, because sometimes they get so much thrown at them and it's so hard to know, well, how do I, integrate this and put this into my daily life and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a challenge when your child's given a diagnosis that whether that be autism or whatever that diagnosis might be, that's a special healthcare need. And as if you're getting, like Rachel said, all this information thrown at you, and you're like, I don't know what to do next. Like, what's the most important step? And so that's where, like Rachel said, Dr. Klingbill and our nurse practitioner can really help guide that family. Very much into care coordination. So they coordinate with all their other specialists, their neurologists, their, what other specialists they might have. So it's really beneficial to our families. We also have respite services available. So families that just need to have a break. We have specialized staff that can go into the home and care for that child while mom and dad go on a date or go to the grocery store or whatever it might be. So it's not like babysitting, but it definitely, they're working on goals. They're being active with the kiddos. So that is a really nice service to provide as well. And then the other service under community services is supported community living. And this is where we can go into the home. We actually take those kiddos out, once COVID's over, we'll take them out into the community. We can help teach them life skills. So counting money, going to the grocery store, ordering food, just help them through some of those everyday sort of life things that you do out in the community. So that's huge as well. We do offer summer camps, and we're going to start some overnights again when we get a little reprieve from this COVID, where families can send their kids to the clinic. They'll have a weekend overnight for respite and SEL. So we've also started a concussion clinic, and I'll have Rachel talk a little bit about that as well, but that just got up and running when COVID hit. So we haven't actually had any kids come through yet, but everybody's trained, we're ready to go, we have all the equipment. Anything I missed, Rachel?
No, I think for the most part you got everything. So to add a little bit about Concussion Clinic, so I believe it was about 6 or 7 years ago, they started the Concussion Clinic in Johnston, so the Des Moines area, and they really partnered with the experts in the field. So Dr. Andrew Peterson is at the University of Iowa. He's kind of the sports medicine doc and for the football team and everything, but he's done a lot with sports athletes, kind of high school and older, with concussion. And so they partnered with him in developing the clinic in Johnston in order to make sure, they were kind of up to date on all the most recent research and that sort of thing, but also recognizing that there was a huge need for pediatric concussion treatment. Because there's a very big difference between, like 5-year-old or even younger up through that kind of 16-year-old age, and how we treat those kids. And so what's unique about our program is that we have EMR involved. So whether it's Dr. Fred or a nurse practitioner, they are assessing the kids that come to our clinic from a neurodevelopmental standpoint, to really from a medical, standpoint, making sure, they're testing okay, or they're recognizing what we need to be aware of. And then we have a physical therapist, occupational therapist, and a speech therapist involved as well. And so they're able to look at kind of the motor deficits and how those relate to exercise. So a child might be just fine at rest, but as soon as you put them on a treadmill and they start doing some aerobic activity, that can really increase their symptoms or change what's happening. So the uniqueness about that program is having that cohesive team to be able to assess and recognize and then give recommendations both to the school and then the athletic program, whether it's the athletic trainer that's overseeing, or if they're in like a youth sports program, the coach, to really best guide practice with return to learn and return to play. So we're really excited about having that in this area. We just happened to get up and running right kind of in February, right before this hit. And of course, youth sports aren't really happening right now. So, but it looks like a lot of them are gearing up for the fall. So we expect that program to really, take off. So one. We also do an adaptive bike camp that we do every summer. We did not do it this summer, but I'm sure we will do it again in the future. And that's really cool too, because we're able to work with, you know, kids that come to our clinic to help teach them to ride a bike, which is kind of a huge rite of passage for parents and families. And so for some of our kids, they're able to learn the typical way. They maybe just need some additional guidance. And for other kids, we're helping them be as successful as they can be with an adapted bike or whatever they can use to participate. And it's really cool to have the social interaction. We utilize a lot of local community volunteers and students to help with that program too. So that's really fun. So that's one thing. Trying to think what else we could tell about ChildServe. There's a lot of other things that happen organization-wide. So in the Johnston, Des Moines area, they also have a DME program and orthotics program. So we have the ability for kids to get braces and equipment through ChildServe. Sorry, computer had a thing. And then we also have some group homes. So we have kids that have similar abilities that actually live in a home and have staff that support that home. So we're trying to promote them to be as independent as they possibly can be. And, you know, I think Marie touched on this, but ChildServe got its start actually in 1928 as the convalescent home for children. They originally, and to this day, we're the only pediatric residential facility in the state. So we have kids that actually live at ChildServe that have significant healthcare needs. And we recently just launched something called ChildServe Plus, where we're able to keep those kids with us into young adulthood up to age 30, which is very tremendously valuable because the care that they get at ChildServe is very different than a typical skilled nursing facility. And so that's been really valuable for those kids and families. Trying to think what else. Yeah, what other questions?
Yeah, you've done, that is amazing, just amazing. And you're right, I think ChildServe is one of the best kept secrets that probably a lot of our students don't know about either. And a lot of the students in this course or in this class, they are interested in the therapies, you know, speech, PT, OT, nurse practitioner, PA, physician. What kind of opportunities do you have for students if they would like to get involved either in a volunteer opportunity or any kind of experiential learning? Because I think it would be really valuable, especially if they want to work with the pediatric population.
So I will preface this by saying at this time, because of COVID,
right,
we have to keep our kids and families safe. And so we have limited outside student observations and volunteers for right now. We still are working with our long-term student placements in some of the programs, but that's truly just because of the time we're in. Outside of that, we highly value student interactions and volunteer opportunities. So we have a lot of events that we do, including the bike camp that I mentioned. We also do a trunk or treat. We have Saturday night outs for kids at the Children's Museum. So parents can actually drop them off. The kids have fun with, we utilize volunteers from a lot of different programs, including the med students at the university. And so a lot of our parents have very limited opportunities to just get a break. And so it allows them to go get a bite to eat, have a date, and their kids are just having a blast at the Children's Museum. And so that's one thing that we do. We also partner with Miracles in Motion for our hippotherapy program. And we partner also with Courage League Sports. If you've heard of that, a lot of our families participate in that. And so those programs rely heavily on students as well to help those programs run. So there's a lot of opportunity in between events, but also we take volunteers and observations throughout the week too. So we have student observers coming in to observe just physical therapies and to get an idea of, you know, their interest level or just to understand what it's like to work with children with special healthcare needs, that sort of thing. So
great. Yeah. You know, trying times right now, but hopefully when things kind of simmer down a little bit, you know, those opportunities will increase. But Marie, one thing that you mentioned that we will be talking about in this course in future weeks is care coordination, which is so extremely important. And one thing that you mentioned was making sure all the services are provided under one roof. Because especially if you've got families coming from an hour away or 2 hours away, you don't want them to come Monday and then Wednesday and then Friday. So really, really helpful, for the parents and, the kiddos as well. But, as during your time, or, I guess to reword it a different way, what are you most proud of? I mean, when you talk about ChildServe and, your eyes just light up, it's like, oh my goodness, what are you really proud of?
I think, well, first, I'm really proud of a couple of things. It really just stems from our staff. We have the absolute most dedicated staff. These gals and guys go above and beyond to provide families with whatever they need. I've always worked in healthcare, and I've worked in some wonderful organizations, but care coordination is so important to what we do that we will go above and beyond to make sure that we have all that information and that those doctors and specialists are fully aware of what we're doing and how we can integrate it. I'm also really proud of our team atmosphere. So again, I've worked in healthcare a long time, and it's very siloed. Where here it is not. We consult with each other all the time because we have a kiddo who might see PTOT, speech, behavioral health, and they might go into autism, day health. And so that interaction between those therapists and really getting on the same page and consulting with each other is huge. I think the best example of it is in our PMR clinic. We have Dr. Klingbill really defers, like he gets that the therapy clinicians know more about therapy than he does. And so he really defers to them. They are right there together making a treatment plan. He values their opinions. And so I think really that team environment is what I'm most proud of at ChildServe. I'm most proud of at our clinic is our staff. Like, they're just amazing. And I feel super lucky to work here every day and have access to these really brilliant, wonderful people. So yeah, and I mean, the next thing down would be, I'm super proud of our kids. Like, I, again, have always worked with adults, and these kids will give you 120%. They will just go all out trying to meet their goals and make their therapists happy. And it's so fun to hear that interaction, especially when a kiddo achieves a goal. It's just like, woo! So it's really fun.
Yeah, so Rachel, I can see you nodding.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Marie said.
Yeah, I know. But is there like one example you would like to share of just of a kiddo that had reached a milestone that was just, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's totally fine. I mean,
kind of
what's so cool is we have milestones every day, right? So I can think of specific instances where children who came to our clinic without a voice were given an AAC device or a computerized device to allow for them to communicate. And to some of the things that came out, you know what I mean? It just blows your mind and brings you to tears, So giving a child a voice is oftentimes one of those like, wow moments. We have a child that comes to our clinic with cerebral palsy who struggles so much physically, but gives, like Marie said, 120% every day to overcome those physical challenges, and yet is brilliantly talented and has actually performed at as a part of the Cedar Rapids Opera. And so he is so inspiring, and oftentimes we'll be singing in our therapy gym and encouraging other kids, and it's just beautiful to see that kind of thing. And then we have kids that, because of their disabilities or medical condition, have had a really challenging time learning to walk. So like, we have a 5-year-old who we've been working with for 5 years to get to that point, to be able to walk, and to see her walking on her own now, and just the pride and what the doors that open up for her to be able to interact with her peers at school and things like that. Those kinds of things are just amazing. I also think what's so unique about ChildServe when you come through the door is that we treat our parents as an equal member of the team. So yes, our physical, occupational, speech, behavioral health specialists all have this amazing knowledge that we gained, but we recognize that the parent is the expert on their child. And that's such a huge part of the puzzle when we come together as a team to help them, you know, live a great life and succeed and reach their goals and aspirations. That parent is so important to empower them and to get their input and to put that all together. And so I think that's kind of the unique thing, is that I think our families really feel a part of that, rather than just a typical healthcare situation where you're coming in the door and, you know, listening to the expert opinion and then going home and trying to figure out how to put that together. So
yeah, that's such a great point, because it's actually, that statement is in our mission statement. So we partner with families to help children and their families live a great life. Like that is in every decision we make. It is what we do every day. So I would agree, it's such a unique system to have that family be there and be a part and be just as much as an expert as someone else in their own area about their kiddo. So.
Well, that's great. That's great. What a wonderful organization.
Yeah.
I know you're both swamped, so I won't keep you any longer, but do you have any final remaining comments you'd like to share with the students?
I would just encourage them that if any of this sounds interesting, and of course, once we get past COVID, to come see us, drop by, ask for Rachel or I. You don't always have to have an appointment. We can take you for a tour. We just want to expose as many young people as we can to what we do, because I think it's just not everywhere, and so there isn't a ton of exposure. But we would love to have visitors. We would love for folks to volunteer with us. So we would encourage you to do that.
Great. Well, thank you so much for spending
You're
your
welcome.
time with
You're
me
welcome.
this evening. And stay safe.
Yes, you too.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
yeah.